What's on, ladies and gentlemen? My name's Ross, I like games, and today I want to show you the deck that is the best Keyforge deck in the UK. The lovely, I assume, Alejandro Rosa Calero became the UK Keyforge Grand Champion with the deck N-Blaze El Electrico. And a couple things that probably shouldn't surprise you. It was a Call of the Archons deck, as a lot of the winning decks tend to be. And it was rated incredibly highly on SAS's rating system, which we know is not necessarily to be believed. Okay, I love it personally, but any rating system is inherently flawed because it's how you play the deck, and there's not everything can be got from numbers, alright? The deck is also up for sale, so if you've got a spare €1,200, just putting that out there. Now, it is a Dis Logos Shadows deck, and like so many we've seen in the past, it is a deck where all three houses just do what they're supposed to do. There is one thing that is extremely strange about this deck, in a good way: 20 bonus amber. Of the 36 cards in the deck, 20 of them give you an amber when you play it. You'll see as we go through, this adds up pretty gosh darned quickly. So we might as well just go through in order, and we'll start off with Dis. And what we're expecting to see with Dis is disruption. We're expecting it to drive your opponent a little bit crazy, make them a little bit sad, and oh look, it does exactly what we might expect it to do. One of the first things that jumps out to me here, Treble Succubus. Succubus is a really annoying card. Succubus says that your opponent draws one fewer card at the end of their turn in the draw card step. Now, 3 of them means you're going to have one on the board more often. It also means there is a chance that your opponent is going to be drawing 3 fewer cards. Whoopsie daisy. Yeah, that's going to get annoying for them. And while we're stopping our opponent here, it's a Call of the Archons Dis deck. We've got Ember Imp. Says your opponent can only play 2 cards during their turn. That gets extremely annoying. Now, going through the rest of the house, we've got Arise, that lets you return each creature of a house from your discard pile to your hand. It gives you a chain, but imagine getting all 3 Succubus and a Dust Imp back at the same time, and then playing them all at once. That's going to hurt your opponent. We've got Creeping Oblivion, lets you purge up to 2 cards from a discard pile. We've all been seeing recently how Infernus has been seeing quite a lot of play and quite a lot of love. Well, this was here first. Basically lets you take your opponent's cards from their deck and just stop them having it, or from their discard pile. It is going to absolutely hurt their options, and that's kind of fun. Dance of Doom, you get to choose a number and destroy each creature with that power. So, I mean, you have to be very careful it doesn't get rid of a bunch of yours as well, but as long as it doesn't, cool. It's not board wiping, but it's not a million miles away from it. Can be under the right circumstances. Hysteria returns each creature to its owner's hand. Again, you've got to be careful that it doesn't hurt you too much, but it gets rid of all of your opponent's creatures and lets you reuse coming into play abilities. And remember, things like Succubus work when they're just down on the field, so it doesn't matter if you pick them up and put them back down again. Dominator Bauble is an artifact that lets you use a friendly creature. Doesn't say of the same house, so it means every Dis turn you can use a creature from another house. That's house cheating. It's an extra use per turn. It's amazing. Drumble, when you play it, if your opponent has 7 amber or more, you capture all of it. Yeah, so they go from, I'm going to forge a key, to wait, where did all my amber go? And Dust Imp, when it's destroyed, you gain 2 amber. You're not gaining a huge amount of amber in your Dis suite, if I'm honest with you. You don't even really have much bonus amber. You've only got a single one on Creeping Oblivion, and that's it. It's not an amber-intensive house, so having Dust Imp here can really help. And then we got Pit Demon that's got an action that steals an amber. It's not brilliant amber control, but it's enough. Your Dis suite really comes around and does a little bit of disruption in many different ways, and that's what we're going for. Moving into logos, we are expecting to have consistency and speed, and we've got pretty much all the best tricks for that here. We've even got a copy of Scrambler Storm that just stops your opponent playing actions next turn. It's not really helping you much, but it's still kind of fun, right? And one of the first things that should jump out to you here is Time Traveler. It's a Time Traveler deck, like so many of the good decks tend to be. It's a Time Traveler deck. Help from Future Self, you play it down and get an Amber bonus, and you search for a Time Traveler in your deck and discard pile. And then Time Traveler, when you play it, you get an Amber bonus and you draw 2 cards. That's quite a lot to be doing in one go. That sounds good to me. Plus it's got an action that lets you shuffle it into your deck, ready to use it all over again. We've got 2 copies of Lab Work, which let you archive a card while giving you an Amber bonus. When you archive cards, they're ready for later. You put them in your archive, and then you can either choose to take all of your cards from your archive or none of them, and that just sets you up. It means you can save cards for later, and remember that at the end of your turn, you draw until you've got 6 cards in your hand, so the more cards you can archive from your hand, the more you draw at the end of your turn. We've got Phase Shift that lets you play a card from one of your other houses during your turn, and you've got Wild Wormhole, which gives you an Amber bonus and lets you play the top card of your deck. Just make sure you don't end up hitting something like Hysteria when you would rather not do so. We've even got a copy of Titan Mechanic here that reduces the cost of forging keys by 1, though that is a double-sided power, so be very careful that you don't just let your opponent forge a key cheaper. Only works if it's on a flank, so you can turn it off pretty easily. We've got Positron Bolt that gives you an Amber bonus and does 3 damage to one creature, and then 2 to its neighbour, and then 1 to that second creature's other neighbour. It's kind of fun. Kind of cascades down, so to speak. And we've actually got Twin Bolt Emission, which lets you do 2 damage to each of 2 creatures. We've then got Spangler Box. Now, Spangler Box is a kind of weird, kind of complicated one. You purge a creature in play. Could be yours or your opponent's. And then your opponent gains control of Spangler Box so that they can potentially use it. But if it leaves play, all cards that were purged get returned. Kind of a weird one. And finally, Vespilion Theorist. This, it's a 2-power creature with elusive. The first time it's attacked, nothing happens. And when you reap, you choose a house. Reveal the top card of your deck. If you guessed right, you archive it and gain an Amber, both very good things. If you guessed wrong, you discard it and it's not quite as much fun. And then moving into Shadows, what we are expecting here is we're expecting some disruption. We're expecting some mean things. Now, we do have Bait and Switch, but remember that got a rather phenomenal nerf. That is to say, it can now only steal 2 Amber rather than a lot. But we do have 3 copies of Ghostly Hand. Now, treble Ghostly Hand here is nuts, because you've got a double Amber bonus. So what I said earlier about 20 of the cards having Amber bonus is not strictly true. 17 of them have Amber bonus, but the 3 Ghostly Hand have double Amber bonus. And if your opponent has exactly 1 Amber, you steal it. So you're not going to steal all that often, but you will in the early game. But having 3 of these, each of which gives you a double Amber bonus, I mean, if you can play 3 of these in one turn, you can just have enough to forge a key right there and then. And as a fun little side note here, let's not forget we've got some archiving over in logos. That could be fun. Oh yeah, and we got Miasma, which just makes your opponents skip their forge a key step. That's going to hurt. And 2 copies of Relentless Whispers gives you an Amber bonus and deals 2 damage to a creature. And if it destroys them, you get to steal an Amber. That's quite a lot for one thing, right? That's kind of cool. We've got Old Bruno that captures 3 Amber. Okay, it's not quite as good as Drumble, but then again, it can be used all the time, not just when your opponent's got 7 or more Amber. So maybe it works out in that regard. You've got Safe Place, which is a slightly weird card, but basically once during your Shadow's turn, you can move an Amber over to it, and then it can't be stolen, and you can use it to pay for keys when you need to, so that's actually kind of cool. We've got Seeker Needle that deals 1 damage to a creature, and if it destroys it, you gain an amber, so that's kind of fun. We've got Shadow Self, that now it's a 9-power creature that doesn't deal any damage while fighting. However, non-Spectre neighbours can't be damaged. The damage goes on to Shadow Self. Really good for protecting something like, oh, I don't know, an Ember Imp, for instance. And then we got a single upgrade here. It's Silent Dagger. And Silent Dagger gives you an amber bonus. And when you reap, you deal 4 damage to a flank creature. And it says a flank creature, not an enemy flank creature. So you could, for instance, use this to destroy your own Dust Imp and gain 2 amber. Just something to bear in mind. This is a good deck. It's another one of these decks where we look at it and it's not the biggest amber rushing deck ever, though the 20 bonus amber is nuts. And it's not the most disruptive deck ever, and it's not the best stealing deck ever. But it's another one of those where we've got 3 of the best houses, and they do what they are supposed to do. You've got a really good Shadows list, although to be fair, a lot of the good Shadows is in Ghostly Hand, which is maybe amber rushing more than stealing. Logos just works nicely for consistency, and this is super annoying. It's not terribly surprising, shall we say, that this deck ended up winning a Grand Championship. It's a phenomenal deck. But at this stage, I'd like to know what you think of the deck. So let me know in the comment section. Go nuts, be nice. And then make sure you like this video, subscribe to this channel, follow me on Twitter at the Wossy. That's where we talk Keyforge and a whole bunch of other games. And do please consider checking out patreon.com/PTCGradio, where you can support the channel, get some bonus podcasts, all kinds of fun stuff. But by far the most important thing, as always, look after yourselves till next time, would ya? Thank you very much for watching. My name's Ross, and you've been watching Wossy Plays.